Hey, all right. Well, welcome to Maximum Productivity. My name is George Carroll, and I have to tell you, I love this topic so much that I wrote a book on it. Yes, my third book is called Maximum Performance and Productivity. It helps you learn how to increase energy, decrease stress, and plan and organize your day so that you get the most out of it. Because there's one common theme that we all have, all of us professionals have, whether you work for an organization as an employee or whether you're running your own show as an entrepreneur. The one thing that we all have to master in order to achieve our goals consistently is being productive. And so this training is really focused on two parts. How do we manage our energy, and also how do we organize our day to set ourselves up to win? How do we plan? I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said, if you're failing to plan, then you're planning to fail. And it's like if you go into your day sort of at cause, you're being reactive to your day instead of being proactive. So we're going to cover some things in this online workshop that will help you become more productive. And the first thing that we have to take a look at is your personal energy. So what's the first thing that you do when you wake up? What are those first 30 minutes like? What is that like when you first wake up? Because we have to look at your personal energy and the energy that you bring into your day. And I'll share some of the things that I do to keep my energy at peak levels. And you got to explore here initially, what do you do in that first 30 minutes? Is that first 30 minutes set up by frantic, hectic activity? Because remember, the energy you create in the morning is the energy you bring into your day. So if you're always in a hurry in the morning, guess what's going to happen during your day? You're going to be in a hurry. So how do we create a morning routine where we're focused, we're present, we're grounded, and we're joyful and enthusiastic for the day ahead of us? Now, the first 30 minutes is what I call your morning routine. You've probably heard of it. Everybody talks about it. And the key is to find something that works for you. So there was one point in time when I used to have a 2-hour morning routine, and then I've shaved it down. Now that I have a child, I can't take a 2-hour morning routine to myself. I shave it down to about 30 minutes, but I make sure in that 30 minutes that I'm doing everything I can to increase my energy, to shift my mindset, and to make sure that I'm excited, enthusiastic for the day. Because if I'm enthusiastic, then I'm going to create and attract more things to be enthusiastic about. But if I'm like, gosh, another day, I'm going to create more things to kind of complain about. Does that make sense? So the energy that you create in the morning determines what kind of energy you'll create in the day. So my invitation to you is make a list of just a few things that you can do every morning, whether it's meditate or exercise or read something empowering or watch inspiring videos. Whatever it is, make sure that first 30 minutes is a routine or something that gets you in high vibrational, high energetic states, so you bring that into your day. So the first thing that I do when I wake up, and I'll just share some of the things that I do so that maybe it inspires you to try them as well, is I stretch, because that wakes up our body. We've been sleeping for 6, 7, 8 hours, and our muscles, our blood cells, everything about our body sort of contracts, and it relaxes, but it contracts a little bit. And as it does, when we wake up our body and we just start stretching, it starts to wake our body up. And when you stretch, it also starts to wake your mind up. And I also take myself through these breathing exercises where I'll breathe in deep, and then I'll breathe out, and I'll do that while I stretch. Now, as you go through your day, one thing that we'll talk about in terms of being productive is that we want to take your brain out of fight or flight response, out of stress, and into more presence, into being more grounded. Because if you're running around your day being stressed, you're just going to create more things to be stressed about. Now, the first thoughts that enter my head, if we're peeling back even more, and this is something I highly recommend that you do too, is when you're just waking up. What are those first thoughts that are running through your head? Because that's already sending you off in a certain energetic direction. Does that make sense? Because the thoughts that you think, oh man, I got to get up and do this thing, or oh man, not another Monday, or whatever it is that comes through your mind, you want to make sure that those thoughts are of high energy, meaning thoughts like thank you, or man, I'm really excited about what's going to happen today. Or maybe you ask a question like, ooh, how much fun can I have today? Whatever those first thoughts are that run through your head, you want to be intentional and conscious about them, because that's going to send you off on a specific path. So every morning I wake up and I don't jump out of bed, dancing and stuff. I'm just not that kind of awakener, if you will. But when I wake up, I like to take my time, and as I start to wake, I just repeat in my mind, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because you cannot be stressed and grateful at the same time. The last thing that you want to bring into your day is stress. So I just say thank you. And I start thinking about all the things that I have in my life that I'm grateful for. Thinking about the clothes that I have, thinking about the roof over my head, thinking about my kid, thinking about my wife, thinking about my family, thinking about all the things that are in my life that I can be grateful for. The water that comes through our faucets, that I can take a shower, that I can drink, the food that I have in my fridge. There's so much to be grateful for. And when you cultivate that sense of gratitude early in the morning, you tend to live from that place more throughout the day. And sure, things are going to happen in your day that you have to put out a fire or what have you. But when you cultivate gratitude, it's easier to handle some of those challenges when you're grounded and grateful versus when you're stressed and reactive. So you want to go into your day with high levels of energy, high vibration, whether that's excitement, whether that's enthusiasm, whether that's gratitude, whatever it is, you got to figure out what's going to work for me. And the best way to do it is to set up a routine each morning that you participate in that allows you to do that. So again, you can watch inspiring videos, you can read a book. Right now I'm reading a book called The One Thing, and actually the productivity one sheet that you're going to download below actually has some of these concepts in it. Because if we focus on way too many things, we get overwhelmed. And when we get overwhelmed, we shut down. And when we shut down, we go right back to doing what's comfortable and familiar because we can do it unconsciously. All right, so I'm going to get off my soapbox about the importance of managing your energy after I share this one last thing, because it's so important. So having high energy, when you go into your day, you have a bunch of tasks and activities that you're looking to complete for that day. Ideally, you have at least a to-do list so you know what to do. You've written your activities down. At the very least, you operate from that. Now, when you go into this and you start checking them off, what most people do is that they'll check off the easiest stuff first. Because did you know that your brain actually releases dopamine? It's a pleasure chemical. Your brain releases dopamine every time you cross off something on your list. So we get addicted to that hit of dopamine and we cross it off when we feel good, we cross it off. But those are minnows. Those are minnows. What you want to focus on are whales. Think about it this way. Most people, they wake up, they have whatever morning routine that they normally have, they drink coffee or whatever it is, they go to their workspace. First thing they do is check Facebook, check social media, check the email. Now, these are insignificant tasks that steal your time. You've got to learn to manage and be the leader of your time and be unwavering in negotiating your time away to social media and other distractions. You got to get really clear on where can you spend your time that would contribute most to your business or to your position. And social media and email are easy to go to because they're familiar. They're habits that we create. So I invite you and I challenge you to break that habit. So the first thing people do, they go check their email, they send off an email, they cross off a couple of easy things to do on their list, and they're feeling that hit of dopamine. So they get the sense that they're busy. Does that make sense? But being busy doesn't mean you're producing results. And I see this all the time with people. They're doing this, this, and this, and this. It's not producing any measurable result, but they get to cross it off their list and they get to feel a hit of pleasure because they feel like they've crossed something off. They feel like they're being productive, but they're not. They're being busy. There's a difference between being busy and producing results. What I'm going to share with you in this training is how you can produce results versus just be busy. And it resides in whales versus minnows. This is something that I teach in my book, something that I teach right now here in all of my productivity training. It's whales versus minnows. Now, there's something called the Pareto principle, and that's something that you have to become familiar with if you're wanting to be more productive and effective during your day. The Pareto principle says that 80% of your output produces 20% of your input, meaning as a productivity person, 80% of your activities are only producing 20% of your results. And conversely, 20% of your activities are producing 80% of your results. All right, let's cover that. So there are 20% of your activities on a day-to-day basis that are going to produce the biggest results for you. These are your whales. There are 80% of your activities that are only going to produce 20% of your results. These are your minnows. Most people on a day-to-day basis focus on completing their minnows before they get to their whales And this is the biggest mistake that you can make, because most of your energy comes at the beginning of the day, and you want to utilize that energy to attack your whales. There's a great productivity book out there by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog. And basically it is what the title says it is. What's the biggest, ugliest task? Not necessarily the ugliest, but it's just a metaphor of eat that frog. What's the biggest task, the most important task that you could work on early in the day that would create more time and momentum for you as you move forward? As you download the PDF one sheet, the productivity sheet, I have you do a brainstorm list of 10 things that you want to get done in that day. And out of that, what's the number one priority? What's the one thing that you want to get done that day? And that's what you're going to focus on in that day. Because have you ever made a list of things to do, 5, 7, 10 things to do during a day, and then all of a sudden at the end of the day you had like 15 or 20 things you needed to do? Well, let me ask you this. When your list is longer at the end of the day than it was at the beginning, do you feel like you won the day, or do you feel like the day won you? Yeah, it feels like you lost, doesn't it? And so one thing that you got to recognize is not to just operate from a to-do list. You want to make a list and brainstorm some of your highest priority tasks, and then you got to scan that and say, what is the number one thing? What is the absolute number one thing that I'm going to commit to getting done today? Because do you see how you set yourself up to win that way? If you just say, I'm focusing on one thing today, this one important thing I'm going to focus on and I'm going to get it done, what happens is that you set yourself up to win, because now you got one thing to do instead of 15 things to do or 10 things to do. Now you have one thing to do, and you just focus, focus, focus until completion. And then in the afternoon, you can go to the next most important thing and cross it off. So it doesn't mean that you're just going to do that one thing and you're done for the day. No, you got to stay productive. You got to keep crossing off tasks. You got to keep moving projects forward. But to start off, do that one important thing. Just focus on that one big whale that you have in the morning, and then go through and reprioritize your list and say, this is next, and then focus and work on that. If you set up your day like this, I promise you, you're going to feel way more productive. You're going to move important projects forward, and you're not going to feel like you're underneath and overwhelmed by everything, because you're focusing on the whales and letting go of the minnows. Let go of the minnows. They'll handle themselves, or you'll handle them quickly as they need to be handled. But you got to discipline yourself to say, I'm going to focus on the biggest, most important thing that I can focus on today. I'm going to focus on it until I'm done with it. And then discipline yourself. This is one very powerful way that you can become way more productive in a very short period of time, is just to flip your day around. If you're used to working on minnows early in the day, flip it around. So now you're working on that one whale early in the day. Now, as it relates to having energy, the more energy you have, the more likely you are to work on those high priority tasks. And this is something that I always teach, is that if you don't have any energy, for example, after lunch, most people hit that food coma. If you don't have any energy to handle your tasks and your activities, you're going to go to the easiest, smallest, insignificant minnows. In the afternoon, when you typically have the least amount of energy, that's when you want to focus on those small tasks, those easy to do, mindless tasks. And in the beginning of the day, when you have the energy to do it, focus on those big tasks. So in my calendar, as you can see, I'll just open it up and show you. Hey, I received a new lead. Cool. I'll have to do that right after I create this video, because this video is the one thing that I said I was going to do today, and I'm going to get it done. All right, so let's go to my calendar. And so as you can see today, boom, boom, boom. Let me see. So let's see if I can shift it in a way. Okay, so all right, so you can see from 8 to about 12:30, that's my one thing, Create Productivity Online Course. So this video is one of those things. Obviously, as you can see, the time is now 1:19, and I still haven't finished that, but I'm committed to getting it done. And then I'll go to the next highest priority task, and I've scheduled them. This is the secret to all the highest producing people on our planet, is that they know what their highest priority tasks and activities are, and boom, they plug it into their calendar and they live by their calendar. And they treat that one thing, the highest priority task, the number one priority for the day, they treat that as any important meeting. You just don't miss it. And that's how you want to look at these things, is when you schedule them, treat them as a very important meeting that you wouldn't miss at any other point in time. All right? So So whales versus minnows. If you just focus on whales at the beginning of the day, minnows at the end of the day, you'll be way more productive. All right, because let me ask you this. When we prepare our day and plan your day, as you will hopefully with the productivity one sheet that I'm going to share with you even more here in a moment, when we plan and prepare our day, we have to be on the alert for our biggest distractions. So the 5 biggest distractions that you're going to see: number 1, people distractions, whether that's coworkers or if you work from home, maybe people that live with you. All right. The next one is the internet. You know, it's so easy to hop over to the internet and just do some searching, some surfing, but it doesn't create more productivity. So number 1, people. Number 2, the internet. Number 3, specifically social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of these social media sites, they try to grab our attention, and it's easy to go onto our phones and just check it real quick, but it eats away at our productivity. The next thing is emails. We've all been distracted by email, and either we're managing our email or our email is managing us. And so one thing that you've got to get clear on is, how are you managing your email? Is your email always open? Are you always getting a notification when your email comes in? Because if you are, every single notification that comes in, whether it's Facebook, whether it's email, whatever it comes in, a text message or a phone call, that is a potential distraction waiting to take you off course. So I always share this one tip, and this one tip is a game changer if you're willing to follow through with it. And that one tip is turn all of your notifications off. Turn all of your notifications off. Turn your phone on silent, turn vibrate off, because anything that clicks or dings or vibrates is a distraction waiting to happen. It's very much like Pavlov's dog. So you remember Pavlov. Ivan Pavlov was a Russian scientist back in the day. He wanted to research dog salivation. So he brought a bunch of dogs into a room and he rang a bell, then gave them food, rang a bell, gave them food, rang a bell, gave them food, rang a bell, gave them food, over and over and over and over again, until one point in time he could just ring the bell and the dogs would begin to salivate because they've associated food to the bell. Now, when your phone goes off, you get a call, you get a text message, you get a Facebook notification, you get an email, whatever it is, and it makes a noise, boom, you're conditioned to go to your phone and answer it. You start salivating over what the message could be. The number 1 tip that I give to people, that as far as eliminating distractions go, is turn off every single notification that you have on your computer and on your phone. I promise you, those ninjas of distraction, I call them, those ninjas will come in and they'll sneak into your world and they will steal your attention and your time. And by the end of it, you'll end up in Never Never Land. And I always say, Never Never Land is that place where you're sitting there, you're working on an important project, right? You're getting it done. All of a sudden, boom, you get an email, goes ding. And then you look at the email, then you click the email, and then boom, you're now reading this email. You're in the email, there's a link in the email, so you click the email, boom, now you're on the internet. So while you're on the internet now, you're looking at the internet, you're like, oh, Facebook's just right here, I can just check Facebook. And then you go to Facebook and like, oh, what's going on? I gotta update my status. Still at work, LOL. And then, all of a sudden you see an ad over here, boom, you click that ad, now you're on eBay, you're scrolling eBay, you're saying, I could use a new pair of shoes, buy a new pair of shoes. And then an hour goes by, you're like, whoa, where the hell was I? You're in Never Never Land, and that's how easy it can happen. Just by getting a notification on an email, it sends you off into all kinds of different directions, and it steals your time. So turn off your notifications. Turn them off. Just turn them off. Don't argue with me. Turn them off, okay? So that's one thing I hope that you will do, especially if you notice yourself getting sidetracked by those notifications as distractions, all right? And finally, the 5th biggest distraction is your cell phone. Now, I always turn my cell phone off. It's always on off. The vibrate is not on, and I even put it face down so that I can't see it light up when somebody gives me a call or sends me a text message. So I can't hear it and I don't see it. Now, if you are addicted to your phone, there's something called the 20-foot rule, and that's basically where you take your cell phone and you put it in the next room 20 feet away so that you're not thinking about it. So remember, you got to manage your distractions, or your distractions will manage you. You got to set yourself up to win. If you booby trap your day with a bunch of mines, and hidden grenades and stuff that you can set off at any moment, then of course you're going to lose your day. You're going to get your butt kicked. But if you're willing to set your day up where you clear those things out, no more mines, no more grenades, no more, dynamite sticks that I might set off, none of that is even present here. You can focus in and get more done. All right, so those are the top 5 biggest distractions. And as we talked about earlier, the Pareto principle is the 80-20 rule. 20% of your activities are going to produce 80% of your results. And I know I'm really focusing on this one because it's such an important one, that if you can say every single morning before noon, I'm going to focus on my top 1 or 2 whales, my top 1 or 2 priorities, and I'm going to focus on the other smaller tasks and activities for the afternoon, then you set yourself up to win. Now, the number one game changer that I'm going to tell you that I just showed you on my phone, the number one game changer that you can do consistently is you time block your high priority activities. Time block them and treat them as important meetings that you would not miss. And if you can do these things that I'm talking about just in this short workshop, if you can implement these things into your day, then you're going to be a way more productive people. You're going to be you're going to be somebody who produces results versus just busy all the time. Because we know all those people that walk fast, talk fast, and they do everything fast, but they don't get anything done. But you can say, for the next 30 days, I'm going to focus on working out my highest priority tasks, my top 1 or top 2 things in the morning, and then I'll work on some of the other tasks later in the day. So whales in the AM, minnows in the PM, versus what most people do is minnows in the AM and then whales in the PM. The thing that happens is you do a bunch of minnows in the AM, you go eat lunch, you come back, and now you're all stressed out because you're like, oh man, I got these huge important priorities that I haven't even looked at. But now food coma is setting in, your energy's going down, and you go straight into stress mode. And most people work out of stress. Every few months they get sick and they have to miss work, and they become less and less productive. So if you just make that flip-flop, 80% whales in the morning and then minnows in the afternoon, you're going to make a huge dent in your ability to be more and more productive moving forward. So at the greatest year of your life, 2017, you're going to learn the in-depth process to how I plan my day. And when you click the link below, you're going to get that free worksheet that I have linked below. And let's go over that right now. So as you click that link, what you're going to see is you're going to see at the top, it says Daily Priority and Action Sheet. All right, so follow these steps. The first step is to start to brainstorm a list of things that are important for you to achieve that day. Now, you're obviously not going to do all 10 of these things, but you got to get it out of your head and on paper. I think it was Abraham Lincoln, that said, if I had 6 hours to cut down a tree, I would spend 4 hours sharpening my axe. And that's what the planning process is. You take 15 minutes at the beginning of every morning or at the end of the previous day, and you plan your day ahead. And this sets you up to win. So when you're writing down your high result activities, you want to start asking a few questions. The first question is this specific enough? Because if it's not specific enough, what tends to happen is that it's too vague. And when anything is too vague, your brain will avoid it. It will put it to the side because there's no specificity. So in this model, specificity is king. The more specific you can be, the more your brain knows exactly what to do. All right. So it's the difference between large chunks and small chunks. And what this process helps you do is chunk it down to actionable sized chunks. One of the major reasons why we avoid doing things that we know are important is because we've chunked it way too big. And because it's way too big, we go into overwhelm. Overwhelm goes into going back to doing what's familiar and comfortable because we can do it unconsciously. So avoid overwhelm by chunking your activities down to actionable sized chunks. All right. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to write it down, because you're 43% more likely to complete a task that you've literally written down. So you want to make sure that you write it down, and you're just brainstorming a list of the top 10 most important activities that you want to get done during that day. The next thing that you want to do is you want to scan that top 10 list. And as you scan that top 10 list, you want to check in to say, according to the deadlines that you have for projects, according to everything, my goals, according to all of that, what's the number one most important priority? The one activity that I'm going to complete from my high results activities list. Then what you're going to do is you're going to estimate the time that you need to spend on each activity over on the estimated time block. And then you're going to take that number one priority and you're going to put it down there where it says number one priority in bold. And then then check in. Do you need to chunk it down? Is your number one priority actionable enough, or do you need to break it down into more actionable sized chunks? So an example of this is what I set up for myself today. My number one priority was to create the productivity online training course. So this entire training that you're watching was created in a 4-hour time window. But create productivity online course was too big of a chunk. It's too vague. And so I wanted to chunk it down. So I chunked number one down to create video structure. So create the video structure of what I'm going to be talking about inside of this video training. Chunk number two was to organize the training page and the banner. So as you look around on this page, you see a banner up top. You see some target learning outcomes underneath the video. You see the button, and everything on this page basically is the training page. And then finally, create a downloadable PDF, and that's the PDF that you're looking at now. And so I chunked it down into those 3 chunks, and I knew exactly what to focus on. Next, boom, and done. So after I'm done with this video, I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and I'm going to insert it into the video area, actually the video area that you're watching now. So you got to know your number one priority before you even start your day, and you got to know, are there more chunks to this? Meaning, is this priority actionable, or do I need to chunk it down to actionable size chunks? And then there at the bottom, you can see that there is going to be a place you can take some notes, write down some new ideas, and write down some new activities and tasks that have popped up. So that's basically it. I hope that this brief but power-packed online workshop has given you at least 1 or 2 insights that you can use to implement in your day. And if I can say that if there's one thing, if there's one thing that you can do to instantly become more productive, it's to do your whales first thing in the day, is to know your number one priority early in the day, and then calendar block it. Put it in your calendar and follow through on what you said you're going to do. So these are the kinds of things that you're going to be learning at the Greatest Year of Your Life 2017, happening in Denver, Colorado, January 13th through the 15th. There is very limited seating. Right now, we're under 25 seats available, and we will sell out for this event. So if you found this to be interesting, if you found this training to be valuable for you, you're going to learn so much more, and you're going to experience so much more, and you're going to set 2017 up to win. Because just like you must set up your days to win and plan and prioritize your day, you got to plan for your year. If you're not planning for your year, if you're not setting goals, if you're not setting up ways that you can achieve them and setting yourself up to win, you're going to go into 2017 recreating the same things that you've been doing over and over. So make 2017 the year that changes your entire future. I look forward to seeing you there.